What's going on, everybody? JT here, C. Will, we've got David. This is episode 72 of The Next Block, a special Saturday episode. Of course, this episode is brought to you by Gora, the next generation Oracle built on the Algorand blockchain. And of course, the rest of our great sponsors. Check out the video description down below for those. But we have a wonderful guest with us. We have Vic Sharma of the Cake Wallet and Monero.com. So Cake Wallet, I believe, is the first open source wallet for Monero. Vic has had an interesting background coming from the steel industry as well. So I definitely want to get into that and, really understand the journey on how you went from the steel industry into the crypto industry. But welcome to the show, Vic. I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned at the top, you were the director of a really big steel industry company. You made a big name for yourself in that industry. So I'm really curious if we could start off with your journey. How did you get into crypto? How did you get into Monero? And then we'll go from there.
Sure. I love talking about that. I don't know if you've seen me on other podcasts. I've talked about it many times, but maybe your viewers haven't heard the story. So crypto, I got into, well, let me go back a little bit. I'm still the director and president of a steel company called Liberty Steel US.
Oh,
We
wow.
make wire rod and downstream wire products, agriculture fencing and things like that. So my crypto journey, I guess I heard about Bitcoin in early, maybe end of 2011 or so, maybe 2012. And it was just always in the back of my mind. Like, I gotta look into that. I gotta look into that. And finally in 2013 or so, I took the plunge, opened I think it was Coinbase account. But you know what? The funny thing is, even before that, I bought Dogecoin off eBay. I think before eBay and all these companies realized, hey, these people are selling digital currencies.
You aren't the first to say
Yeah,
their journey started with Dogecoin on our show. So
yeah,
that's really interesting. But I'll let you continue on.
yeah. Then let me try it. Maybe I think it was. It's what over 10 years now, right? So yeah, Bitcoin. I opened up a Coinbase account and started just buying Bitcoin and just put on their auto buy feature. Yeah, I sound like an ad for Coinbase right now, but
Yeah.
they eventually kicked me off. I'll get to that as well. And I started mining Bitcoin as well. I bought a couple ASIC miners off of eBay as well. And and the seller was really nice. He helped me set it up. And I started mining Bitcoin. I think it was generating for the first 6 months. It was generating like 0.2 Bitcoin a day.
Oh, wow.
You're saying, "Oh wow!" Now, but that was about $40 at that
Yeah,
time.
true.
I think Bitcoin was $200 at that time, and so generating 0.2 is like $40 coming in. I'd wake up every day and see $40 in my wallet, which is pretty cool. And then difficulty level keeps going up, right? So after 6 months is like gradually change, and from every day to every maybe 30 hours, then every 2 days, then eventually when I went to like a week, I just I had it in our office building in Pittsburgh, and I wouldn't go to Pittsburgh that often, and I think it died one day, and I just didn't have the time to look at it or have somebody look at it. I think it was doing about 0.2 Bitcoin a week. I know now it sounds freaking great,
Yes. If you would have
Should
held on for
should
all
have.
those years.
Yeah. So, but still, I got to build up a little stash. It was fun. Then I started thinking, I want to do something with Bitcoin. Buying it is great, holding it is great, mining it is great. But I want to try to actually buy something. I want to use it. How does that work? And I got, I was thinking this morning, I should probably stop saying this on podcasts. I've said it too much. I got on a dark net market called, do you guys remember Alpha Bay?
I remember hearing about
No.
that. I never used it.
Yeah, in like 16 or 17, it was pretty big. And, I did research and I thought, let me try to buy something. Nothing illegal. I just wanted to I'm a learner, right? I like to play around with stuff. I like to tinker with stuff. So I thought, let me try to buy something. And I bought antibiotics for my wife
Wow.
on the dark net market. the foolish thing I did was I sent the Bitcoin directly from my Coinbase account.
Oh,
And but back then, how many people knew about chain analysis and tracking of Bitcoin and
mhm.
tainted Bitcoin and seeing it? I mean, I guess I didn't know. I guess the real hardcore people probably knew. At that time, everyone thought Bitcoin's a way to stay anonymous and stay private, which we all know now that's not the case.
Nope.
And within I swear, within seconds, Coinbase sent me an email saying we've canceled your account, move your shit.
What?
Yeah. And I was like, fuck, how did they know? How did they know? How did they know where I'm sending? I mean, that means they have a collection of every darknet market. I mean, these chain analysis companies must be crawling darknet markets and taking a record of every Bitcoin address that's out there. And I was like, whoa, what the hell happened here? But at the same time, I saw there was another coin on Alphabet called Monero. And I was thinking, why Monero? Why not Ethereum or Litecoin or one of the other coins that were really hot in end of 2016, early 2017, or Dash, or other phony privacy coins. Like I don't want to bash anybody. Uh, I thought, what the hell is this Monero? I guess it was 2000, must have been 2016, and I started looking into it. Went down the rabbit hole. I'm not an cryptography expert. These guys are doing like PhD, post PhD level stuff. But everything I read, everything I liked, everyone I talked to, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Then in 2017, I think or maybe, and don't quote me on this, I think an Android wallet came out. So at the beginning of the show, you said first open source Monero wallet. We actually weren't. We were the first open source Monero wallet on the App Store, Apple App Store.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I thought, I want to use Monero. I want to collect it. I want to hold it. The only way to do it is to use a desktop app, and it's quite frustrating. So in 17, I guess third quarter of 17, we started building out Cake Wallet, and then we launched in January 2018. And it wasn't open source when we launched. It wasn't open source, and frankly, the only reason we weren't because I didn't know what it meant. I thought open source just meant you use other open source tools out there, and but the Monero community gave me a lesson very quickly.
It's funny.
In a nice way, and Monero community can be brutal. They're brutally honest, and they want you to be honest. So I mean, which is a good thing. So,
It's a good
sorry,
culture.
what were you saying?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because the first crypto that I have mined, proof of work type crypto is actually Monero. And, right now I'm only earning, 15 cents, maybe sometimes 5 cents here and there of Monero, we're .USD value right now. But maybe this is one of those stories where I need to make sure I don't, I keep it going, don't sell, just keep that miner chugging along. But it is a totally different beast than what Bitcoin was because, I have a tiny little B-Link, computer that cost me like $100 and something. The energy output to mine it is very low, probably practically nothing. And, I'm still contributing to the network. So it's a whole different ball game, but it is interesting to hear your journey and kind of know kind of where I'm starting right now as Monero is one of the first ones. I mean, there are other ones I want to, but the sophisticated rigs that you got to have, even one that I like called Render, once they actually open it up more is, you got to have a lot of GPU space. You got to have a computer that can really crank out the workload. And so it's one reason why I like Monero.
Yeah, I can't get my, I started my Monero miner, but I can't get my Monero to produce anything. I'm just sitting here. So we're going to wait it out.
It's tough. I mean, I don't think anyone mines Monero for, try to make money. I think it's a money losing a bet right now at today's prices. But I think most people mine that at least I know of are people who want to support the network, who want to expand the network, who believe in the philosophy and the ethos of Monero. I think that's why that's why I was mining Monero about a year ago, 2 years ago. And same story. I just don't have time. Sometimes a miner goes down. I just don't have time. Somebody to look at it. So I might be selling those miners.
So what assets, can you hold on Cake Wallet? Is it,
So,
how many different ones and what can you do within the Cake Wallet itself with those assets?
yeah, so there's a story behind that as well, if I could explain that. So, Monero is kind of difficult to get. In the US, Kraken was the only registered exchange you can buy Monero. And Coinbase and Gemini don't carry that at all. I don't think they carry any privacy coins. So when we launched Cake Wallet, it's purely a Monero wallet. I didn't think we'd add more coins to it. And immediately an instant swapper called Morph Token came to us and said, hey, we just launched, we're a big supporter of Monero. We want to be in your wallet. So that's how we ended up putting an exchange function in there. And once we put the exchange function in there, we saw people were mainly going from Bitcoin to Monero. And, you would have to bring your own Bitcoin wallet. You would have to, whatever is hot back then, Bread Wallet or Electrum or whatever you're using. You have to bring your own wallet and then use it with Cake Wallet. And I thought, okay, that's kind of a pain for everybody. So that's why we put in Bitcoin. Initially, it was purely just to help Monero folks, hold their Bitcoin, convert it to Monero or back to Bitcoin. But I mean, that's why we started with Bitcoin that way. But as we've seen, a lot of people now just use Cake Wallet for Bitcoin. They don't even use it for Monero. And then when we launched Bitcoin, there was definitely I guess pushback from the community. I mean, we're very much involved in the Monero community. We listen to the Monero community. We value their input. We value their support. So definitely there was a pushback for being not a Monero pure wallet. And that's how Monero.com was formed. So Monero.com is basically Cake Wallet with everything stripped out except Monero and Monero-based tools. But it also has an exchange. So that's how Monero.com was launched. That's funny how things play out, right? So Bitcoin was a huge success. I mean, we saw downloads and exchange volume just go through the roof after we added Bitcoin, and then we added Litecoin. Then we added Haven, which we'll see about that, and now recently we added Ethereum as well. But for the Monero purists out there, just download Monero.com.
So here's a question: where does the name Cake come from? And then also, what is Haven?
So Cake Wallet, at the time I launched, and literally I thought of the name like 2 days before. We got approved by Apple, and I'm like, oh my God, we don't have a name or something, and or we submitted to Apple and we didn't have a name, and so we came up with Cake Wallet. The reason I came up with Cake Wallet, anybody want to guess?
You were at a birthday party.
Let's see how OGs. Let's see how OGs.
No, I'm definitely not right. I'm definitely not OG enough. I was going to say you were at a birthday party or something.
No, isn't cake mean money?
Cake, yeah, definitely means money, but that's not why I went with it. The time we launched, if you guys remember, Bread Wallet was really big.
Oh, no, and before my time.
Yeah, and then Litecoin came out with Loaf Wallet. And I think it was XRP. XRP had Toast Wallet. So it was all kind of like bakery themes. I wanted to keep that theme going. And, back then when people thought of a mobile wallet for Bitcoin, they thought of Bread Wallet. When they thought of Litecoin, they thought of Loaf Wallet. And I was like, okay, when people think of Monero, I want them to think of Cake Wallet. So it's just to go with that theme, yeah.
So I wonder with the theme currently right now with so many wallets getting hacked, are we going to start getting a lot of hacked themed wallets coming out in the future?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Let's see.
I'm curious. What does the future hold for Cake Wallet? You just kind of like at the point now where you've added Bitcoin, Litecoin, Monero, a couple other things, the exchange feature. Do you have anything else in the pipeline for it, or do you have any other new projects that you're working towards? What do you think about that?
I mean, in the immediate future, once we added Ethereum, we're going to have Wallet Connect, so you'll be able to use your Cake Wallet with DeFi platforms or OpenSea or whatever else you're connecting your wallet to. I'm pretty excited about that, and because that was also again request from people. They said they want to be able to quickly take their earnings from DeFi platforms wherever they're staking their Ethereum based assets. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then we're also looking at adding in pooled staking for Ethereum and ERC20 tokens. So that's in the immediate future. What else? We do have fiat on ramps and off ramps in Cake Wallet, not for Monero. So I assume a lot of our users are using our fiat on ramps to buy something else like Litecoin, which has low transaction fees, and then converting it to Monero. As for the longer stuff we have in the future, we don't talk about it.
I do have a question about Cake Pay. Can you speak more on that? Because I'm seeing there's a big trend on like payment processing and things of that nature. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I totally forgot. So earlier this year we launched Cake Pay. Initially it was with the provider and we had it completely in app. It was super smooth, where you're standing in a line to pay, let's say at a restaurant, I don't know, some fast food restaurant, and you can get your total, use Monero or Bitcoin, buy the gift card for the exact same amount, and within seconds get the QR code and give it to the cashier. So it was really awesome. I felt we were like competing with Apple Pay even, where you can use your wallet immediately, buy the exact same amount, pay, and it was great. Everybody loved it. But that provider ended up getting out of crypto space altogether. They had a really nice product, which I'm quite disappointed about. But anyway, so we through our other providers, we did launch the website, which is cakepay.com, where you can buy loads of gift cards and debit cards. You can buy MasterCard, Visa, up to like $1,000 using your Monero or Bitcoin.
Yeah, it seems like
pretty successful, actually.
Yeah, it seems like Monero's adoption in South America has been one of the hotspots too. We had a guy from Douglas Tuman who does the Monero podcast on like maybe a month or so ago, and they're actually, I think, having their next big event's going to be in Buenos Aires. I've seen a lot of traction in Argentina with merchants, starting to accept Monero as payment, obviously because it's a way to escape, rising inflation and stuff like that for many people in the world. What are your thoughts on like adoption as far as like actually using our crypto in our day-to-day lives? Like right now, I feel like you talk to I went to a crypto event in my city and you talk to anybody about crypto and everyone's response is just like, oh, these are the coins I'm holding. This is what I'm buying. This is what I'm sticking in my wallet, but no utility and no like day-to-day spending. And especially you think of Bitcoin's model of just buy and hold and, make a bunch of money in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what I guess separates Monero from that, and do you have a thesis on where you think we're going to be in the next 5 years as far as like actually using crypto and spending it instead of just hodling it?
Yeah. So I think where there are limitations in banking, where there's high inflation, I think you'll see you are seeing use of crypto there rise faster than, let's say, for example, United States. Yeah, I mean, United States, we may be the largest holders of Bitcoin, probably, I'm guessing. But how many people in the US are actually using it? I don't know.
Not many.
Because you don't need to, sending money is easy, unless you're really, really against centralization. You're like, no, I don't want anyone to know what I'm sending. And that's fine. But how many people? It's just so easy to pull up Venmo or something. But in South America, where you're seeing massive inflation, you're seeing your money that you're holding, dwindle away. I think that population would be more apt to using cryptocurrency in general. Because even in countries where you're like, okay, I want a safe haven, I want the dollar. There's limitations by the central bank of that country. How much dollars can you buy? Then you have to report your income. Where did it come from? What did you do? And then a lot of people don't want to do that. They might be being paid under the table. Who knows? But I think definitely that's the use case where there's inflation, where it's difficult to do banking, where it's difficult to do international banking. That's where you'll see the use of crypto increase. So then, just quick about. I was going to say something about Doug Tuman.
Oh yeah.
So right after I launched Cake Wallet, I got a message from Doug. He didn't have Monero Talk or Monerotopia back then. He was an avid fan and of Monero and very much involved in the Monero community. So he was in New York and he sent me a message saying, "Let's meet." And I said, "Okay." I told my wife, "I got to go meet this Monero nerd. I'll be back in quick beer. I'll be back in half an hour." And he and I ended up sitting and talking for 4 hours and became really good friends. And we founded the Monero meetup for New York. We hold those quite often. Hopefully you guys can come.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my Doug Tuman story. So he and I have become very good friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
I sponsor his show.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we just started branching out and really trying to bring guests from all different blockchains and all different spaces to really, help our audience learn more about, the broader crypto space. Yeah. And so, it was great getting to talk to him. One question I feel like, you might have an interesting take on is we're seeing, at least recently in the news, a lot of talk about privacy coins, especially I'm sure Monero is going to be one of the hot ones getting delisted and just becoming harder to get on any exchange. I mean, for me, living in the United States, I have, really two ways of getting it. One is where I have to use a VPN, and the other I currently don't have to use a VPN, but I do worry if it's going to go away anytime soon.
We got crypto.com still, luckily.
Yeah,
but they don't have Monero.
I didn't think they had it.
I thought
only Kraken. I think only Kraken has it.
What they had?
Yeah, it's very limited. So, what are your thoughts on seeing all these privacy coins start to be delisted, and what do you think how do you think that'll affect the future of Monero?
Well, first, I think everyone trying to ban it or make it difficult to get is just proof that it works. Otherwise, why would they do it? So-called other privacy coins on Coinbase have not been delisted, and you wonder why. They're not as private as people think they are, or they portray themselves to be. As far as delisting goes, I mean, if you want to look at the things very broadly and philosophically, maybe there aren't meant to be centralized exchanges. Maybe, crypto is meant to be peer-to-peer. Put money back in the hands of of the people, put the power back in the hands of the people, and not giving up your everything, your banking info and personal info, and then tracking everything you're doing with your money. So in the short term, there could be a hit. There could be things could get difficult, but I think in the end, peer-to-peer networks will pop up. And then what? Then make it completely illegal for you to own code, to own, open source code.
Well, on that point, if we could, we did recently see the United States government sanction code. I mean, we saw that happen with Tornado Cash. So I guess in theory, that is possible. I suppose we didn't think it was until that ruling came.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack there. If you're, I don't know. I mean, I guess Monero is different. The code is not there for you to mix and hide your crypto. It's it's there to make crypto, each asset fungible.
Right.
Privacy, I feel, is a side effect of that. You can't get privacy without fungibility, and when you're using Monero, you're not purely doing it to hide your transaction. You're doing it for it's cheaper, it's faster, it's fungible. There's so many other arguments you could make. Maybe Tornado Cash, maybe the intent was to hide. I don't know. Again, I'm not in favor of law enforcement going after code. So I'm not supporting that action in any way, just for the sake of debate. You know, maybe that's why they got in trouble. I haven't looked at it, and I guess there were some other issues with the people involved. Who knows?
Yeah, privacy is just it's a feature of Monero, which is, you know, something that we need, I feel like, in this digital age that we're coming into, especially if cash ever is to fully go away. I know that's a fear for a lot of people, that we're going to have something like a Monero if, you know, if you want your transactions to be private, truly private, and not to even say that it is ill intent, but that it's just privacy. We all deserve it. You know, it should be a right. You know, I'm kind of also interested to ask you, out of the, you know, Bitcoin and its journey so far that we've seen, and obviously there's various forks of Bitcoin. Which fork of Bitcoin do you think is still, you know, most aligned with Satoshi's vision, you know, from the start, and just what the ethos of Bitcoin set out to be?
So I mean, if you read the white paper, I mean, I'm not techie. I'm not a cryptographer.
White paper right behind me.
Yeah, let's read it right now. That's very nice. So, I mean, I guess from peer-to-peer payment system, some people can argue that, okay, it's failed on that front. But I think having the first, you know, mover advantage, and there's so much infrastructure now built around Bitcoin. You know, now we're talking about ETFs coming up and all that fun stuff. So I think it's here to stay. And I'm a backer of that Bitcoin, you know. Bitcoin Cash, I mean, you know, I'm friends with Roger Ver. I think it's great what they've done to have the same Bitcoin type of thing, and have, you know, lower fees and larger blocks. And why not? And, you know, that's the beauty of cryptocurrency. You know, I don't know if I'm a believer that one coin will win out in the end. I mean, in the fiat world, you have different currencies. Right now, we're living with different cryptocurrencies. I don't know if one has to win out. As Michael Saylor also said, hey, if you want privacy, maybe go use a Monero. He said use a Monero. Yeah. You know, so I think people recognize that. And even in Cake Wallet, some of our employees want to be paid by Monero. Some people want Bitcoin. Some people want stablecoin. So in the end, it opens up to what your needs are, what exposure you're willing to give up. Everybody, even in the Monero world, there's different levels of privacy which Monero folks want. Some people are ready to buy from a centralized exchange like Kraken because they're like, I don't care if they know I own Monero, I just don't want them to know how I use it. And then there's some really hardcore people like, I don't even want them to know I use Monero. I don't even want them to know I downloaded your app. I don't want them to know. It should not even exist for them, you know. So those are the two extremes. So, you know, it depends what you want. I guess if you're a Canadian trucker and you're donating to some political movement that you don't want to be tracked, use Monero. If you're donating to your daughter's school lunch, use Bitcoin, you know, because you're not doing it, you don't want to hide it, you know. But then the question is, where did that Bitcoin come from? You know, track it back 7 steps. Hey, it was involved in some child trafficking or, you know, ring, and then you're fucked. So, you know, so those are the risks. And what exposure are you willing to get into? Right?
Yeah, that's completely fair. I'm curious if we can move the conversation just a little bit. We don't have too much time today, but I'm curious if you have any thoughts on the broader market in general, because, you know, a lot of people believe that we're in a cyclical market in accordance with the halving every 4 years. There's also some argument that was actually more of a coincidence, and it wasn't necessarily the halving. It was more, you know, the money printing and the M2 money supply expanding and contracting roughly around that same period. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that, and if you think we're going to maintain that, you know, roughly 4-year cyclical structure.
I'm a belief of the 4 years is due to the halvening, or some people say halvening. I do believe that. Will that go on forever? I don't think so. I think next halving, it goes down to what, less than 3 Bitcoin per reward.
Yeah, something like
that.
that.
Right now it's like 6.25.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll go down to 3.125. But I think, 8 years or 12 years down the road, I think the halving will be meaningless. And even if you look at the last halvings, the boom is smaller every halving, and the bust is smaller. So I think you'll see that gap decrease and stabilize. I mean, even right now, Bitcoin is just acting like a stable coin. It's been at this
right
between around 26,000.
Might be more reliable than some of the stable coins out right now.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm a believer of that, but not forever. I think, like I said, after 8 to 12 years, people won't care. If it goes down from, reward goes from 0.25 down to 0.125, I don't know what difference it'll make. Unless, of course, Bitcoin's trading at $200,000, then the halving will make a difference. But I think the boom and the bust volatility will reduce as we've historically seen it.
Yeah, all I know is Bitcoin's got to continue to keep rising to stay profitable for miners. So I know that that's the whole thing, at least from my non-techie perspective, is as long as Bitcoin's price keeps going up and to the right, it's smooth sailing. But if it does break and it can't actually, the price doesn't rebound back, then I feel like Bitcoin's security long term, could be in jeopardy. And who knows, maybe we do see another form of Bitcoin, or take its place. Who knows?
It better go up. That's my retirement plan.
So, like a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm joking. Yeah, I think a lot of people think that way. Yeah.
Looking at the entire crypto space, obviously, if you believe that we are going to see prices go back up, and obviously not talking, financial advice here or nothing like that, but which projects in the space do you see outside of maybe Monero and Bitcoin, do you see that are actually building, things that will be used and have a future? Because we know there's, heck, I feel like I saw on Coin Market Cap that there's like millions of cryptocurrencies now. I remember back when I first started, it was only like 12,000, and now Coin Market Cap says like 1.2 million or something. So like, obviously we know that there's probably not a future for that many cryptocurrencies, but which ones are you most excited about and watching?
I don't know. Specifically, I can't say which one I'm excited about. I still think Ethereum, I'm going to get killed for this. I still think Ethereum will do well just because it is trusted. I think when somebody really wants to launch something, I think they still look at Ethereum, whether it's NFTs or any kind of DeFi or any smart contract. But I do think the second layer or even other smart chains, I think there's a lot of room there. I think we've just scratched the surface. We've done fun stuff, fun monkey images, and fun DeFi stuff here and there. And I'm a Bored Ape holder, so I'm not bashing it in any way. But I think smart contracts still have a way to go. I mean, there's so much of that we can do in the real world. And in fact, we were talking about it in the steel company. How can we use smart contracts to track shipment of commodities and expedite banking? Right now everything is really slow in commodity trading. You're sending bills of lading and everything, manually, and certificate of origins and documentation manually. So I think that's just one application, but I think there's so much you can do with smart contracts in the real world. As far as just currency coins, I think Monero and Bitcoin is the only two that I would hold. Litecoin, I'm a fan of Litecoin. I got in Litecoin very early as well.
That was my first one.
Yeah. I like the community. I like, in some ways, it's a better Bitcoin.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I actually bought Litecoin for the first time, like last week.
And it's perfect timing. And the MWeb. And the MWeb, Mimble extension blocks.
That's what I was about to ask about.
That Litecoins, that's added. So we're waiting on them for some tools, so we can add that to Cake Wallet, which will provide you some level of privacy, not Monero level, but definitely it's so once they do that, I don't know what will happen to Bitcoin as well. I'm banking on Bitcoin. I'm a long-term holder, but I would say Litecoin is definitely one to look at and hold.
Yeah, I've always agreed that
not financial advice.
Right. But none of this here is ever financial advice, but
Yeah,
I definitely tend to agree that Litecoin has always kind of it's been quicker, it's cheaper. They've added privacy features. It's sort of the in-between between Bitcoin and Monero now, where, it's faster, cheaper than Bitcoin. It's a little bit more private, but not as private. And I think Monero still actually might be cheaper to transact, but they might be close enough that it's not that big of a deal. But honestly, this conversation has been fantastic, and I do feel like we could keep this going for hours. Honestly, we have a bunch that we want to talk about in the future, so hopefully you're willing to come back on. But before we take off, I'm curious, is there anything that you're working on, whether at Cake Wallet or Monero.com, or maybe a new project that you want to be sure the audience knows about before we take off today?
Just to be fair, one more coin I wanted to mention is Nano, which
Go for it.
I got into that long time ago, and I think they've made some good improvements. We're going to be adding that to Cake in the next week or so, and I need to learn the tech more and understand it better, because I just don't understand how they do it. Just there's no fees. Nano has no fees, and it's super fast. It's quite amazing. But again, I need to learn more. What we're doing in Cake Wallet, I mean, I think I've covered most of that. I don't want to get into the long-term projects, but yeah, Nano's coming, Bitcoin Cash is coming, staking is coming. So, we'll just keep building. We'll keep building.
Yeah. I'm for sure going to be downloading Cake Wallet. Give it a try. I love testing out new wallets, seeing which ones, user interface looks better, sleeker, faster. I love all that. And so I've been using the only one that outside of like my Ledger that I've used that I've really enjoyed has been Exodus. So I definitely want to try more. And yours is a mobile, so you can get it on Android and iOS, correct?
Yeah. Now we're on Mac and Linux as well.
Okay, cool. And then is it just mobile, just to make sure like there's no browser or wallet or browser extension or anything like that?
No.
Gotcha.
It's a pure wallet built on Flutter. Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome. And do you want to shout out where people can go to learn more or download these wallets? Is it the App Store? Do you have a website? Where can people go to learn more about Cake Wallet?
Sure. CakeWallet.com.
Beautiful.
Simple.
Nice and
Start
simple.
there, and that'll take you everything. Yep.
Perfect. Well, Vic, this has been fantastic. Maybe we'll try to reach out and have you back on to discuss some of those more long-term projects that you have coming out in the future that you didn't want to touch on here, but maybe we can get it out of you in a future session.
Great. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Nice talk.
Thank you, Vic.
Absolutely. It was great to meet you, and I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. If you did, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next video. Take care, everyone.